Hello and welcome back to another Just Made. Today we're sewing a padded yoga top. This one is great for anyone looking to expand their sewing skills or just use up some of their sewing materials. I know I'm excited to be working with this sunny foil print knit from Fashion Fabrics Club. This is a spandex nylon blend and it reminds me of a compression spandex. Kitty thought the bra cups were his toy. I found these in store, but I will be buying more online. To hold the bra cups in place, I'm using power mesh, but any mesh with good stretch and recovery will do. For the bottom band of the bra lining, I'm using 1-inch elastic. I won't be doing it with this fabric, but an optional step here is to use 1/4-inch clear elastic on the neckline and arm cycles. It gives extra stability to the knit fabric seams to keep them from stretching out. Cutting out the pattern on the fold, I'm going between my rotary blade and scissors to cut out the sharp corners. The pattern I'm using for this top is the Eckhart top by Sewing Machina. You can find this designer's patterns on Etsy. I've modified the pattern slightly by grading the front piece from the size D at the bust to a size B at the waistline. This is the main back piece with the rounded neckline. I've also graded the side seams on the back piece here to match up with the front piece. Here is the front main lining piece. I've modified this pattern from the original by shortening the bottom hem edge. The original pattern has a longer bottom edge so you can fold it over to hem. But since I'm using the 1-inch elastic on the bottom of the lining, we won't need that extra length. For the front lining that will be cut out of power mesh, I'm folding the arm strap 1.5 inches above the neckline. The mesh doesn't need to go into the arm cycle, so this will keep things simple. To start, I'm going to be pinning the power mesh to the wrong side of the front lining, sewing the top portion there with a small zigzag stitch. I think my stitch length and width were both set to 2. Working with the front main lining, I'm marking out a notch for the cutout where the bra inserts will go. I've measured out a fat 1/2 inch from the side edge and 2 1/4 inches up from the bottom edge. The main thing is to make the notch wider than your seam allowance so it will remain open and long enough to be able to get the bra pads in. After the notches have been cut out on both sides, I'm serging the raw edge for stability. You can use any overlock stitch on your regular machine here too. Taking the back main piece and matching that right sides together with the front at the shoulder seam. And then we're going to repeat that with the lining so we can sew the shoulder seam next. I'm using my serger here, but any stretch stitch on your regular machine works in place of the overlock machine. Once the shoulder seams are sewn on both the main and the lining, I'm returning to the lining piece to mark out 2 parallel lines down the center of the front. Sewing with a small zigzag stitch to keep these 2 layers together, and most importantly, these 2 rows of stitches will help keep the bra pads on the correct sides. Now we are going to place the main piece right sides together with the lining piece. We will be sewing the neckline next. The first step to sewing the neckline is marking out the square corners in the seam allowance. This really helps in knowing where to pivot your stitch and getting symmetrical corners. Using pins to keep all the layers together, I will be using my regular machine with the same small zigzag stitch and sewing just over the chalk markings to start. You can wait till the whole neckline is finished, but I'm going to clip my corners now because I find it's easier to serge the rest of the neckline with that ease. Careful when clipping, you want to clip close to but not through the stitches we just put in. Now I will be finishing up the rest of the neckline on my serger. I'm sewing the neckline in 2 steps, working from the front corner and going towards the shoulder strap, and then the back of the neckline, and then back over the other strap to end at the front corner. This is a point where I like having the corner cut. The ease helps in finishing up serging the front neckline. Once the neckline is sewn, we can open the garment, and working from the main side, we are going to push the seam allowance towards the lining so we can understitch. Stitching the seam allowance onto the lining will keep the lining to the inside and prevent it from rolling out. I'm understitching the entire seam from front to back and along the arm cycles with a zigzag stitch for stretch. Now that the neckline is finished, we are going to use the burrito method to finish the shoulder strap. See how the arm cycle opens up here? It doesn't matter which side you start on, but we're going to be rolling the garment, like a burrito, into the arm cycle so we can sew along the seam line. Don't worry if this seems confusing at first, it will make sense as we keep going. With the garment tightly rolled to one side, we are able to open the arm cycle and close it around the rolled up portion of the garment. We are meeting the edges right sides together along the arm cycle, matching the shoulder seams. We want this rolled snugly to the inside so we can sew the seam without catching the rolled portion. Slowly working with my serger along that seam line, I am feeling the rolled up section and making sure that stays clear of the stitch line. With that seam finished, we are able to pull the garment to the right side. I'd do this carefully. Some fabrics are more smooth and easier to pull through. This fabric was a bit more difficult to pull through. Once pulled through, you have the perfect shoulder strap. Now taking the side we just finished, we're going to repeat the burrito method to the other side, rolling our just sewn side into the open arm cycle, pinning and sewing as before. Now that our shoulder straps are done, we can move on to the side seams. Opening the garment up, we are matching the main front and back right sides together and the front and back lining right sides together. When matching up the edge of the lining fabric, I've tucked the section we notched out away from the seam line. Where I have my clips above has the non-notched out portion of the main lining. Once pinned together, I'm taking it back to my serger to finish up sewing both side seams. Using a zigzag stitch, I'm sewing the bottom lining edge mesh and main pieces together. Measuring out the bottom width of my top lining, I'm going to be cutting out the elastic about 1.5 to 2 inches smaller than the lining. This will be so it has nice stretch and retention over time. Overlapping the elastic edges at 1/2 inch, I will be sewing both loose edges with a zigzag stitch that is both wide and long. This will give a very secure finish to your elastic band. With the elastic sewn together, I'm marking out a 1/4 inch seam allowance. This is going to help me line up the bottom edge of the fabric while sewing. Next, I'm dividing the elastic into 4 equal parts and marking with pins. I repeat this process with the bottom lining and then match it up to the pins on the elastic. This quartering with the pins will help us evenly stitch the elastic waistband that needs to be stretched to meet the width of the bra lining. To sew the lining onto the elastic band, I'm using a 3-point zigzag stitch. You could also use an overlock stitch on your regular machine, but I found this to be quicker and just as secure. The elastic will be stretched to meet the lining, but you don't want to overstretch the fabric. To finish up the top, I'm folding the hem 3/4 of an inch and using a twin needle to stitch the hem beautifully. All that's left is putting in our bra inserts. You can fold those in half to help slip through the opening we've sewn and adjust from there. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked this tutorial or would like to see more like it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.